Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O believer, kulu min tayyibatin, eat from purified sustenance, ma razaqnakum, that we have provided you, washkuru lillahi, and pay thanks to Allah Almighty, in kuntum iyyahu ta'budun, if you only worship Him. In this holy verse, Allah Almighty is addressing to the believers. It's the basic and first fundamental sign of each and every believer that he will have to eat the purified sustenance that Allah Almighty has blessed. After eating the purified sustenance, they will have to pay thanks in the court of Allah Almighty. Now, it's our own responsibility that we will have to introspect ourselves in our daily life what we are doing about this. Whether we are eating from purified sustenance or we are trying to snatch the rights of others. Whether we are adopting the right ways, the fair means, or the wrong means to get our sustenance. Unfortunately, we are trying to justify it if that we will not do corruption. If we will not get the sustenance, the risk, the property, and the money through unfair means, then we will not be able to spend our lives. It means we are trying to convince our Allah Almighty that whatever you have provided me, these are not enough for me. That is why I am trying to get the rights of others. That is why I am trying to make money through unfair means. It means we are trying to convince Allah Almighty that we are not agree with your division. No, we have no right. Whatever Allah Almighty has blessed us, we will have to get it through fair means, because it's the command of Allah Almighty that you will have to eat from the purified sustenance. Whatever I have provided you. It means if the sustenance that Allah Almighty has given us, if it's in short quantity, you will have to be content. You will have to contented on this short quantity. It's also the trial of Allah. Allah Almighty will never put us in a such burden that we cannot bear. Allah Almighty will never put us in a such difficulty that is out of our reach and our capacity. Because Allah Almighty says in Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. It means that Allah does not burden a person more than his capacity, that he cannot bear. It's the decision of Allah. Whatever I am providing you, it's enough for you. You will have to be content. Because if you are spending the difficulties in your life, it means not that you cannot bear it. If you are facing a lot of difficulties, it means you have a capacity. We can't say that it's out of my capacity, whatever the burden Allah Almighty has put on me. Because if we will say that whatever the difficulties and burdens that I am facing now, it's out of my capacity, it means Allah Almighty is doing wrong with me. He is putting me in such difficulties that I cannot bear, that those are out of my reach. No, whatever we are facing, the problems, the hardships and difficulties and the tightness and the shortage of quantity of sustenance, it's mean we can bear it. We have a capacity. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. It's mean we have a capacity whatever we are facing. Once again, Allah Almighty says that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim wa anna Allah laysa bizallamin lil abid. And Allah Almighty is not the one who does wrongs with his slaves. It's mean Allah Almighty will never put us in a such difficulty that we cannot bear, that is out of our reach and capacity. We will have not to find the lame excuses to collect the sustenance, the money, the property through corruption, unfair means, and bribery. If we are the true slave of Allah Almighty, if we are the true believer, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kulu min tayyibati, O believer, you will have to eat from the purified sustenance, ma razaqnakum, that we have provided you, washkuru lillahi, and pay thanks to Allah Almighty, in kuntum iyyahu ta'budun, if you are true worshipper of Allah Almighty. If you just and only worship Allah, you will have to eat the purified sustenance. It's the conclusion of Allah Almighty. If you are calling yourself a true believer, it must be your first and fundamental and basic quality of each and every believer. He will have to eat the purified sustenance. Because our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, there are 70 grades of worship. And the first grade of worship of Allah Almighty is to earn your sustenance through fair means. If you will earn, you will earn your sustenance through fair means, it means you are worshipping Allah Almighty and you are finding, you are getting the first grade of worship. May Allah Almighty bless us the capacity to be a content on the division of Allah Almighty. Ameen.